All right, so gonna do something a little bit different. Something I wanted to do for a minute now. I've always been wary of crossing both the Dodgeball podcast and Ballistae together, but I feel like I'd be wasting a good opportunity to utilize some of the resources that the podcast has afforded to start talking more about Ballistae and to give more voice because it's not just me, and to kind of help with that is Joe. So what's up, Joe?
Hey Steve, how's it going?
It's going better, man. As you know, I'm back from Kuwait, and I just I know we've been talking offline about how we have so much out there in store for Ball State. A lot of it was on its way out right before 2020 hit, and between 2020 and I guess last month, it was just survival mode. But while I was gone, we were able to release a few products. One of them being the sliders, which are selling very well. Let's talk about those though, because I'd like for somebody to hear somebody else's voice, especially the co-founder. So you know I'll spare you the embarrassing story of why Ballistae came to be. We'll definitely do that later, but let's just jump into a product and the sliders. So where do those come from?
Basically, my personal play style. I don't have a particularly high vertical leap, and I'm more of a side-to-side player. So dropping down, I like to drop to my knees while moving from one side to the other. And traditional knee pads tend to kind of stick, and it's not really fun to try to go down and then just plant your knees in timber and fall off to the side.
Right.
Also, moving forward when this ball's on the ground, for me, it's safer to do kind of like a baseball slide into it rather than try to do something a little bit more athletic, like jumping. Um, so that's kind of like the reason I wanted to develop a pad that had a bit more sliding ability.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because it made me realize, like, because we're talking about, like, okay, the naming conventions for our knee pads, like we're gonna branch off into families, like we're gonna have like the V1, the V2, the OGs, that'll be one family, and then the other one's gonna be the sliders, and we'll improve upon those as we go. But I just realized it's like the V1s are my style. Like I base them off of the same mechanics, the same type of knee pads I played in since I first donned knee pads back in, dare I say, 2000, 2007. And it satisfied my needs, right? And a majority of the players. But I remember you were like, I'm not happy. Like, what about me? And you made some good points because we both have been playing together for years, and we both have different styles. So like, why not start branching off into what other people do? And what I really liked was, when we are talking about the next iteration of knee pad, you actually gave me a sample. You want to talk about that a little bit?
These were actually some wrestling knee pads. I bought them from whatever sporting goods store. They're a lot more padded than the traditional volleyball knee pads. They've got like this. It's not a plastic shell. It's almost I would describe it like almost like a Kevlar weave kind of thing to it, and they slide beautifully. And obviously, there's a lot of improvements the rest of the pad needs to kind of fit dodgeball needs. Hence the using that as a launching off point rather than a direct port. Yeah, so I wore those for a while until they kind of gave out on the hens.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
those things had definitely seen. They gave you
yeah,
everything they could. Like you definitely got your money's worth time and
yeah.
again because it's a wrestler knee pad. And what I liked about it was when you're kind of explaining to me why they worked for you, I was also picturing wrestlers, which they're
Mhm,
on a mat, and so the problem we had with the V1s is the, I guess what we just called the friction burn, where
mhm.
there are players who, crazily enough, play different than I do. They slide
How
and
dare they?
yeah, how dare they? How dare they not be a one size fits all? But
Yeah.
you know, they slide, and if the court is not level by any means, or if they just slide a lot, and you just get that heat going, and the stitching's off, like you'll just get, you know, friction burn, or it'll look like somebody shot the kneecaps of the knees. And yeah, I cringe every day I see those, even to this day. Like I had to send a replacement pair to, I think, one of the teammates on finesse. I was like, oh my god, please, Crystal, give these to I forgot her name. I think she's new to the team, but I can't have that. So when you're showing me those, I was looking at, you know, how a wrestler moves from side to side. They're pivoting on their knees, or you know, they got another body, another 150, 80, 20, 200 pounds that are, you know, on top of them, and they're trying to struggle. So that's gonna, if they can withstand that, then I knew immediately, okay, yeah, Joe, you're right, dude. Like we need to make this pattern somehow. You know, we took your wrestling knee pad, that you were probably very attached to, because again, you've had tournaments
Yeah.
and open gyms and miles on that thing, and we sent it to our manufacturer, and we're like, hey, can you combine the V1 but use this stitching? And I remember a lot of the pushback that we got from them was, well, we have to change the mold. And did that bother you at all? Because like you mentioned, like when you slide left to right versus, you know, maybe the, I guess, forward slide, does that change how the mold should feel, in your opinion?
Um, Not so much. So as long as it has that friction reduction, the side padding really doesn't come into play quite as much. Probably less so than with the pads that do hang on, because they're not really getting that knee pad rollover.
Yeah, and I think that's been demonstrated by people that, you know, I before we released them, you know, we had some people test them out. I remember Xander like sent me a video of him like I don't even know how he was doing this, but he's like sliding on his knees through his entire hallway,
Hmm.
because the letters said, hey, before you lies the prototype of the next iteration of knee pad, please destroy it. And knock on wood, no one's been able to. And I remember this one
Yeah.
guy, Giancarlo, I think. Holy crap, that guy was giving me anxiety with the what he was doing to the V1s. Like he would just shred those things to heck and back. And I remember thinking, okay, if they pass this guy's test, they're golden. And funny story about the sliders, right? Like this was eventually shaping what to the V2s, right?
Hmm.
So the V2s were supposed to be like, walk me through those, just because I'm talking way too much.
So I think the V2s were basically the improvement on the V1, where it's just the classic knee pad, but we wanted the much longer sleeves and a bit more padding, and the gel lining. Think that covers it, or am I missing anything?
Close. So that's what it's evolved to.
Yeah.
The V2s were supposed to be the sliders, but longer sleeves. So what had happened was, despite all the iterations, despite approving samples, despite all this, the manufacturer somehow forgot the memo to extend the sleeves. So as a result, we ended up having like this different, completely different pad, and that's why, you know, we're looking at this like two different branches now, because people are liking this. It's not for everybody by any stretch of the imagination. Like it's, if you slide, then these are likely for you. However, if you need the cushion and the protection that the V1 provides, then by all means, please stay with that one and bear with us until we solve both problems, or, you know, obviously try something else that works best for you, because, you know, you want to be able to walk when you're our age.
Yeah.
But that's what the V2s were supposed to be. So now that we have two completely different styles of knee pads, the V2s now will be what you kind of described, where it's going to be thicker padding, longer sleeves, gel inserts, and then we'll see if we can do the same treatment for the sliders. And the reason why it's so different is because the mold is different. And
Hmm.
because the mold's different, actually, it's like, it's kind of backwards. The fabric's different, so that makes the mold different. So the good thing is, our new manufacturer is, she I just got notified by Alice that they got our sample. They got like the V2, like the actual old style V2 that we're supposed to create, and they're gonna do their work. And hopefully, after some iterations, we'll have something we can talk about, in a couple months, and we can actually say, boom, got the V1s, got the V2s, got the sliders, and got the slider XL or whatever we're gonna call it. We'll probably have to work on the names at some point, but I think it's really cool. I kind of kind of appreciate the fact that two different perspectives are satisfying the needs of maybe 60% of the players out there. Definitely not going to stop working, but let's just fantasize for a little bit. Like, what would like the next version kneepad be for you? Like, if we could 3D print something right now, what would you do? Like, what would be the most best all-encompassing kneepad?
So, I mean, definitely a really heavy duty one because we still need something for some of our larger players, some of the diesels out there.
The tanks, so to speak.
Yeah. I've always liked the Velcro straps that you get with a lot of like the motocross kind of knee pads. I have one pair with that. Of course, the drawback to those is when the Velcro kind of comes off a bit and catches onto everything. So yeah, definitely long sleeve, one that really stays secure. Everybody hates when the knee pads get worn out at the top and you start having that droop.
See, that's so. I think what helps me prevent it, because I'm still rocking. Granted, I haven't played dodgeball in like since whenever dodgeball actually happened. I'm still sporting the OG, like the first batch. Like my first pair, I'm still wearing those bad boys. But also, I don't drop nearly as much. But I still run, if you can call it that. Still crouch, still do things. What helps stop that is if you wear a knee sleeve underneath. I feel like that secures your knee pad, and that eliminates a lot of the need, dare I say, for the silicone grip and for the long sleeves. Now, the long sleeves is a new concept. It was originally pitched to us by Tim Fullerton from Rise back in 2018, and I remember he was trying to explain to us at the booth what he was looking for. I'm like, I'm not following you, man. He's like, no, Steve, like this, but like that. I'm like, nah, dude, still not following. I had to get him to I took a picture of him putting his hands where he wanted the sleeves to go. I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. And then, obviously we're not made of lots of money, so we had to take some time before we can venture into that. So I'm curious if they're gonna be what Tim had wanted. I know I think Nicole Chasen had asked for them as well. A couple of people had suggested them, and I think by the time I got like the 6th or 7th recommendation, we're like, all right, let's do it. Let's see what happens, and we'll find out. Knock on wood. The world's a crazy place right now, but hopefully the supply chain is forgiving and not taxed with bad luck, and we'll have these hopefully in a couple weeks from when this little side piece airs. But I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of wrap it up with that. And like I said, try to do these maybe every once in a while or so, just to kind of pick your brain a little bit, let people know Ballistae is not just a me one man show. There's a lot of people, a lot of voices that will be brought on to kind of talk about why we do the things we do, and we'll go from there. But yeah, Joe, I appreciate it. Unless you've got any final thoughts for us, we'll just end this snippet here.
All right, yeah, no, that's great.